Good morning, Marco Island. This is Marco Island's first and only good podcast. I don't know how I want to start other than saying good morning, Marco Island. But anyway, my name is Ryan Sullivan.
I'm Jordan Kraley.
And it worked that time. Incredible.
It did. I was practicing at home.
Were you actually?
No, of course not. I didn't look into the mirror pretending it was the camera and try all the different half smiles and faces. No, I would never.
I sort of feel like you might be being sarcastic, but I actually can't tell. I don't know. Okay, thank you, Cat Valentine. So, thank you for joining us today on another phenomenal episode of, I almost said the Pickle Jar Podcast. But today's episode is on the Otter Mound Preserve. What's the difference between a preserve and a reserve?
It's a really great question, Ryan.
You should Google that really quick.
Okay, let's do it.
forgot. I was actually going to tell you. It's like, hey, Google this because I actually don't know the answer to it. It'd be really cool if you did know the answer, but I completely forgot to say that because, like, I'm pretty sure Rookery Bay is a reserve, and Otter Mound is a preserve.
Let's see. Reserve means the active. Wait. Wow, it just gave me like the actual.
Okay, like
one second.
Look up what's the difference between a nature reserve.
A nature reserve, also known as a wildlife refuge, wildlife sanctuary, or nature conservation area, is a protected area of importance for flora, fauna, fungi, or.
Fungi. It says funga.
Yeah, I'm not.
Is
tripping,
that
dude.
Okay? That sound. Is that the AI generated Google response?
This is Google response.
Oh, good Google.
Or features of geological or other special interest, which is reserved and managed for purpose of ...
Okay, so what is a preserve?
Oh my God.
Is it
There's
the same
preservation versus conservation versus reservation.
Okay, so wait, I've never heard of a conserve
Okay,
before.
so a conservation is generally associated with the protection of natural resources, while preservation is associated with the protection of buildings, objects, and landscapes.
Oh, okay, that makes so much more sense then. Okay, so the Otter Mound Preserve, which I believe began construction in 2004, preserves the ancient structures on the Otter Mound. Jordan, in your words, do you want to describe very quickly what the Otter Mound is?
I think the best way to describe the Otter Mound is like a nice little brisk walk. To be honest, when I first went there, I thought it was going to be this really long labyrinth of a thing, and it's actually very short and sweet to the point. It's very scenic, to be honest, in the small areas that you can walk because it's a little like posted, so that way you don't go over into other things. There looks to be like some burial looking stuff, just a little bit. There seems to be also the outhouse.
Oh, okay. All right. We're getting a little ahead. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. The car just drove by loudly.
Was it really loud in your ears?
Oh, yes. Very much so.
See, I wouldn't know that because...
Oh, yeah. Do you wanna... So, I left my headphones at my editing bay last night because I edited episode 1 of...
Good morning, Marco.
Good
morning, Marco.
I episoded the edit of 1. I edited episode 1 of Good Morning Marco last night, and I left my headphones at my computer, which is about 15-minute drive from here. So I was like, "Oh, Jordan, can you just get like a cheap, like $1 pair of headphones at the dollar store since you're going and getting this?" Oh, they can hear that too.
The tablecloth.
So, Jordan, why don't you show our video listeners what you got? So these are Bluetooth headphones.
They are indeed. For the Dollar Tree price of $5.
$5 at the dollar store? Were you at the dollar store or were you at Dollar General?
I was at the Dollar Tree. The dollar store.
They sell stuff for more than $1.25 at the dollar store?
Indeed.
Because these look like exactly like the AirPod Maxes.
Interesting.
You know, the Apple's new like over the Apple's new over the ear headphones. These look exactly
I
like
was gonna say,
those,
I
just
see
with like
people out that
crappier
have
plastic.
something that looks like that, yeah, but I didn't know that was Apple.
Yeah, no, those are the Apple headphones.
Interesting, yeah.
Anyway,
Contemplated putting them on to like bamboozle everybody, but
yeah, with no wires coming out of your head. But the Otter Mound Preserve is a 700-foot nature trail. In it is the only nature trail on Marco, unless you want to consider Tiger Tail. Tiger Tail is actually a Great Florida bird watching area. Like you see those signs that say Great Florida bird watching or whatever. There's Shell Island, there's Rookery Bay, there's Donna Fiala Eagle Lakes Park
wow, I
in the
actually haven't heard
area.
of some of those.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to do episodes on those. I can't wait to do one on Briggs Memorial, or I keep wanting to call it Briggs Memorial Boardwalk, but it's just called Briggs Boardwalk. Have you ever heard of Briggs Boardwalk?
I've not.
Oh, I know what one of our next episodes are going to be. I'm going to see if we can get battery power so we can actually record out in Briggs.
Ooh, yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because right now we wanted to record this at the Otter Mound, but we are currently at Mackle Park because
Indeed.
there are no outlets.
It's a beautiful day at Mackle Park.
It is a beautiful day, actually.
We got the
Which
lake
is nice.
behind
We've had
us.
very nice days, 2 days in a row now.
Yeah, it's very nice, very nice.
But so the Otter Mound has actually very rich history. It's definitely like one of the most like I just said rich history, and I was going to say it's one of the most historically rich areas on the island. It's like, but it actually dates back furthest. It's one of 3 shell mounds on the island. Do you know what a shell mound is?
I believe that I do, yes.
Do you want to try to explain? That was a prompt to.
That was a prompt,
Yeah.
yes. I'm terrible at cues. Basically, if I'm not mistaken, I often am mistaken. Basically, it's like where they would kind of put and move all of the different shells and like the different tools and stuff.
Well, who's they?
The Calusa.
Correct. Okay, so there are 3 Calusa shell mounds on the island. There's one out in Old Marco, like where the boardroom is right now. There's one in Key Marco, which is a gated community on the south east end of the island. And then southwest end of the island, Caxambas area, that is where the shell mound is. That's where the Otter Mound is. So, Jordan, why is it called the Otter Mound?
No, I forget the first name, but
Ernest
Ernest Otter.
Ernest Otter. Do you know who owned the Otter Mound before Ernest Otter did?
I do not actually.
Okay.
The
So
Calusa? No,
the
I mean.
so
Well, technically.
basically the Otter Mound has gone through 4 different owners. Started with the Calusa.
Only
it
4?
was yes.
Interesting.
So it started with the Calusa back. The Calusa, you can date them anywhere between 500 to 1500 BC on Marco, which is actually incredible. And when we go over the Key Marco cat, we'll do a little bit about why that's like especially significant. But so they were around then, and then from there, it was owned by the Barfield family in the pioneer era of Marco, which you attended Tommy Barfield Elementary,
Did.
right? Yeah. So they were one of the 2 major plantation families on the island. There was the Ludlow plantation, and then there was the Barfield plantation, which both plantations grew pineapples. So it was only pineapples that they grew on the island. So the Barfield family built the home on the Otter Mound. Well, of course, it wasn't called the Otter Mound then. It was high ground because it was a shell mound, and it was well known that you needed to build on higher ground on Marco because Captain Bill Collier, the first white settler in the area, he built a home that was a little bit too low to the ground, and then got swept away in a hurricane. And then his second home got struck by lightning and caught on fire. And then his third home is the Bill Collier house, which is currently being restored. That's down in Old Marco. That was the restaurant Merrick's and was mostly destroyed in Hurricane Ian. But what am I talking about? I was
about to say, I'm like, how do you have all of this information?
I've lived.
Like, I feel like I don't know. You were setting the scene there.
I used to be a tour guide, so.
Really? Did
And
you
most
ever
of that
do
stuff
tours at Otter Mound?
I did, yes.
Nice.
I did. Which, if you want to tour, now, I just want to hear really quick. Was I the first person to ever tell you about Otter Mound?
Yes.
Okay. And in what context did I tell you about Otter Mound?
It was a very chilling context. It was a dark, gloomy night. Definitely some piano playing in the background.
That was this. This was the start of the.
Dun.
Yeah, no, I'm putting it in post. So
putting it in post. Oh, that's gorgeous. I can't wait to hear that. Actually, it was a dark, gloomy night. Everybody was at the kava bar, sitting there, clenching their drinks, wondering what the next thing would be out of Ryan's mouth. Not a creature was stirring, but Ryan was going on and on and on about the Otter Mound.
Right. So the Otter Mound is haunted. Now, if you want more information about that, either go take a tour with. Thank you, Mr. Crow.
The Crow agrees.
Either go take a tour with Marco Mystery and History Tours, or wait till we have Gina Sesparo on the podcast. I'm sure it won't be long. Do you mind?
The Crow is a messenger from Otter Mound.
The Crow's just saying nevermore over and over again. Yeah, but so.
I'm sorry, I love your face.
The Barfield family was one of two plantation families on the island, which something really interesting about that. At the museum, there is a painting of the Ludlow plantation. It's a painting, and it's got like a rainbow over this like little house on the prairie-esque like cart with like a small family in it, and it's like they've got a bunch of crates that say Ludlow on it and stuff like that. And then you see all the workers out in the fields, and all the workers in the painting are all like ginger. So it's insinuating that they were all Irish.
Interesting.
However, that painting is directly ripped from a couple of photos of the Ludlow plantation that the Ludlows actually had indentured servants back in the 1870s, which they just had slaves that were not informed about the Emancipation Proclamation. And that was a piece of Florida history that kind of got swept under the rug about how the plantation families on Marco, I don't know about the Barfields, but I know for sure the Ludlows had slaves after slavery was abolished.
I mean, one thing kind of about preserving the history was that the shell mounds were actually really good at preserving different things like the tools and the bones and stuff of
So do you know why
then.
that is?
I actually don't know.
So the mangrove muck, like basically, so if you were to put something in a Ziploc bag, what happens to it?
I mean, depending on how much air is in it.
Right. So you suck the air out of a Ziploc bag, and it keeps things safe.
Yeah, keeps things fresh.
So
to a point.
What happens with the mud in the mangrove, like the sludge, it's almost like it's like you put it in a Safeway bag. It is kept in the exact condition that it was 1,000 years ago when it went down there, which is not perfectly exact. When they first discovered the Key Marco cat, which was in the shell mound on the north end of the island, was it Frank and Walter Cushing, I believe, were the archaeologists. They took this small wooden artifact out of the muck, which wood rots. So anything wooden more than 500 years old is a phenomenal find. And the Key Marco cat is believed to be from like 800 BC. There was still paint on it when they first like removed it from the ground.
That's
like the paint
amazing.
almost immediately started flaking off.
Yeah.
And that is currently held at the museum. We should do an episode inside the museum.
You know, I really wanted to text you about that because I drove past it and I was like,
Yeah,
ooh.
like inside the museum would
That would be
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah, we should have done this at the gazebo at the museum. After the Barfield family sold the house to Ernest and Gladys Otter. This was in the 1940s. So they sold it to Ernest and Gladys Otter, which Ernest lived on the island until 1997. The Barfield home burnt down. I'm trying to remember what year it was. I don't remember if he was still alive or not. I'm just going to assume it was 2000. So 2000, the Barfield home on the Otter Mound burnt down, and it was on Halloween night. There is actually a history of fires in that area as well. If I remember correctly, Cafe De Marco used to be down there. I have to ask my dad about that because he said that Cafe De Marco used to be down in Caxambas, but they moved it because they thought that the land was cursed from the
I mean, that's
Calusa.
understandable.
Yeah, because there was like several fires there. But since it was on Halloween, it's more likely that it was actually like partiers because it was an
Probably.
abandoned home at the time, I believe. So let's see. You have
People partying on Marco?
yeah. Well, so we want to do an episode on the missile tracking station. I called my dad to ask him about. I called him to ask him if there was anything about the Otter Mound that he might know other than me, and he's like, "I just knew it was there. I never knew anything about it."
Yeah,
he's
you
like,
know a fascinating amount. Like I've been
I know
there
I know
and
a
I've read
lot
the
more.
signs and stuff, but to be honest, it's like always just been kind of one of those things where like when I'm there, I kind of picture it in my mind and imagine, you know, what it would be like.
Have you been there much during the day?
I've actually only been at night.
Really?
Yes. So during the day, I haven't.
Well,
quite gotten to see everything.
proof that I've been there during the day.
All this
Because I was just there.
looking for outlets.
So, yeah, no, well, I basically went down there for two reasons. Reason number one was to see, well, could we record it in the Otter Mound? The answer was no. I'm limited by the technology of my time. Reason number two is I just wanted to, like, get a feel for the area.
That's fair.
And I tell you what, on my TikTok, I'm currently doing a series where I'm reviewing nature trails in the area.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. They're really good.
And so far I have done, I've done Snail Trail at Rookery Bay. I've done the Column Trail at Rookery Bay. Briggs Boardwalk at Rookery Bay. Marsh Trail in the 10,000 Islands Nature Refuge. And what was some trail in Collier Seminole State Park, and then of course the Otter Mound. The Otter Mound is not a hiking trail, absolutely not. It is an outdoor trail. It is less than half a mile. I feel like it has to be at least a half mile to be considered a hike, like at the very least.
No, it's very definitely short and sweet. Like you could probably go through all of it faster than going around the lake right here.
Probably. In fact, wait, I can tell you exactly how long it took me to walk the whole thing, and that was with, oh wait, no, my phone's over there. I was about to check my,
Your steps.
oh yeah, no, I was about to check my workout, because, well, it says I have 16-minute workout currently, and I did a 10-minute walk last night, so it was probably about 6 minutes to walk around the whole thing.
Yeah.
So if you like stop, you read all the signs, you could probably spend like a good hour plus in there.
Oh, 100%.
Easily. There's a significant amount of tree cover.
Yeah.
It's of all of the trails that I've done so far, it's probably the nicest.
It's definitely well kept, well maintained.
It's really well maintained, and also it's really biodiverse.
It
like
is.
If I think you have some info in front of you
There
about
is.
how many like different.
There's endangered plants there too.
There's endangered plants in
there.
There
Is.
I did not know that.
No, so it says that the preserve is home to over 60 species of animals. I know that's not the plants that I was just talking about, but I'm reading.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wait,
it's
60 species
60
of animals?
species, including the gopher tortoises, Virginia.
Possum.
Oh.
Right?
I believe. I didn't
It's the
know
Virginia
possum
possum.
started with an O.
Yeah, an opossum.
An
You didn't know
opossum.
that?
I did not know that.
It's-
I've never had to spell possum.
It's It's North America's only marsupial.
Opossum.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, so marsupials are almost strictly an Australian thing. So like kangaroos, koalas, I think Tasmanian devils are also marsupials. I don't know, but like almost most like animals in Australia are marsupials. There's only one I don't know if there's any African marsupials, but I know that the possum. Wait, is there a difference between a possum and an opossum?
Hey Siri, is there a difference between a possum and an opossum? Yes, there is a difference.
There is, okay.
While the terms are similar, they are in fact different animals. Possums are found in Australia, New Zealand, and China, while opossums are from North America.
Okay, so there's no such thing as possums here.
Yeah, they're all opossums. That's so weird. Never have I... Yeah, no, I would have
I've seen a
had
possum in the Otter Mound before.
an opossum.
Yes.
Yes. It's an
I've also
opossum.
they got a cat. Why do they
brings
have
a cat to a park?
That's,
Can you walk a cat?
I don't know. Wait, are we about to watch this person harness a cat? Harness the power of a cat.
I'm gonna do the
Yeah, you
thing.
do your research. I'm going to. No. We can't dox these people. We cannot. Oh wait. Oh, he just put the cat in a carrying case. Okay.
But then walking with your cat, that seems like annoying.
Well, the cat needs to get outdoors sometimes.
That's fair.
But
oh my
that's
gosh,
wild.
I lost where I was in our notes.
Okay. Well, I'll just keep talking about
found.
marsupials.
No. Yeah, so there's like squirrels, bobcats, raccoons.
I have seen a family of raccoons in the Otter Mound
It
before.
also hosts 120 species of plants. Notable trees is the gumbo limbo
Gumbo
tree.
limbo, strangler
the Taurus
fig.
tree.
The what?
Yes.
The what
It's
tree?
called the Taurus tree.
Tourist. Oh, the tourist tree. You know
Taurus.
why they call it the tourist tree?
No.
Okay, so I did a project about this in 2nd grade.
And you remember this?
Yes. So I know I did for authors and artists night. My book. We'll have to look at my book. I did. I know I did a significant amount of research on the tapir. Do you know what the tapir is? Mm-mm. So the tapir is like, it's kind of like, it looks like if a rhino had like a snout, like a little tiny trunk, but it's much smaller than that. It's probably like the size of a very large pig. Tapirs are from South America, not South Africa. I don't know why I was talking about tapirs, but also for authors and artists night, I did a little thing. It was all about Florida. Was the prompt. And I did a thing on the strangler fig and the gumbo limbo tree. So I had a gumbo limbo tree in my backyard. But the gumbo limbo tree's bark is like red and flaky.
Oh.
Can you glean any info from that? Do you want to guess why it's called the tourist tree?
Because their skin peels.
Because it looks like they have a sunburn.
Yeah.
So you can actually like go up to a gumbo limbo tree and like start like peeling.
Isn't that one like all the way back there, and then they're like the really cool ones to climb too?
They are really good climbing trees.
Yeah.
I did have steps built into my gumbo limbo tree. I'm like looking at all the trees in this park right now,
I
trying to
think
figure
you
out.
just can't see it because there's like a wall right where you would be sitting, but like where I am, it's like.
Okay. It's I swore
We'll
that I
input
saw
some photos.
Wait, I think that's a gumbo limbo tree right there. That is a gumbo limbo tree right there. I can tell by the leaves. You can tell it's a gumbo limbo tree by the way that it is. Are you familiar with that?
I feel like they have a lot of branches that you could limbo under. How low can you go?
And I wonder if you could also turn it into a fine stew.
Gumbo.
Like a gumbo. Gumbo limbo, gumbo limbo.
Gumbo limbo. How fast can you say that?
It sounds like a very Jamaican tree, like the gumbo limbo. Yeah, but the strangler fig, I don't know why it's called a fig, because they don't produce figs. But the strangler fig is a I think it's one of the only parasitic trees. Did you know that a tree could be a parasite?
I did not.
So the strangler fig, the reason why they call it a strangler fig is its branches. So let's pretend this is a gumbo limbo. Here's a strangler fig.
Here's a strangler fig.
Now, for our audio listeners, I just took... Yeah, here's a strangler fig. Why, you little... The strangler fig will wrap its branches like around a tree. It cannot grow on its own. It has to have like another tree that it grows around, and then eventually, I remember I was talking about how scary this tree was when I was a kid, like in the authors and artists thing. It's like, this is a really scary and sad one. I'm like, it's a tree, but the strangler fig will wrap its branches around a different tree, and then will eventually kill it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you have anything else there in that fancy?
I do have some questions I think I would like to ask you.
Okay, I do know
because you're the all-knowing oracle of Otter Mound. I've just been there a few times.
Yes. Okay.
To be honest.
What would you like to know, child?
What would you like to know? How do the historical and cultural aspects of the preserve contribute to its significance as a tourist destination?
So there's a lot of signs there that are like, I think, okay, so something that we haven't even touched on yet is the shell wall.
Yes.
So the entire property is surrounded by this like 2-foot tall shell wall, made of whelk shells. Whelk shells are about 6 to 10 inches tall, and usually about 5 inches in diameter. From the, I don't know what sort of shellfish a whelk shell comes from.
Were those the same shells that they used for like their weapons and stuff?
Yes. So basically, something really interesting about whelk shells. If you pick up a whelk shell from the ground, which you're not supposed to, but if you were to, you could take a look at a whelk shell, and you could know for certain if a Calusa at one point held that in their hand. Do you know how?
I don't.
So, basically, the whelk shell is like this spiral, like conch-looking shell.
It will be right here in post-production.
Yes.
I really wanted to do that.
So now you're making more work.
You're welcome.
Get out! The whelk shell is has a small hole. Like, not like where the animal that inhabits the shell. Like, on the other side, on the flip side, there is a small broken-in hole. If you see that hole, that means that a Calusa at one point held that. Because what they would do is, if you take a whelk shell, let's say this coffee cup right here is a whelk shell. How would you get the meat of the animal outside of this shell? So this is where the legs come out.
Is the coffee the meat?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you would want to probably go from the...
So this is where the legs come out and stuff. This is where the opening is.
Indeed. I'm trying to figure out, because you said there would be a hole at the bottom, but I feel like it's also... I don't think you would
Well, most people, what they would do is they would just go like
reach
straight in there.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
However, if you did that, then
you get your fingers
the claws,
washed, yeah.
you know, you get little Mr. Krabs in there, like giving you a little
there would be phalange casualties.
There would be. That's incredible. I want that on a t-shirt pronto. There would be phalange casualties, yeah. But what the Calusa would do is they would break a little hole on the other side, and they'd pull it out from like its back. So like
weird.
they would,
I feel like you could like poke it out.
Maybe
instead of
but they would pull it out so that it
wouldn't be able to
no
get them.
phalange casualties.
No phalange casualties.
And they would pull it out from there, and then just and then they would discard all the shells into a big pile. Hence why it's called a shell mound, because all the shell mounds is where all the Calusa would live. They would live on top of these mounds because it would be high ground.
For a second, I would just like to note on how durable their feet must be, because I imagine walking on the small shells that are on the beach, and then now you're walking on just nothing but shell.
They must
and all of those shells are still huge and intact. Your feet would be hurting.
Their dogs were barking. The Calusa calluses. That's what Calusa means. It just means callus. Callus. Calusa actually directly translates to the word fierce. Fierce. Not like that. Not like that. Not like fierce. More like like that sort of fierce.
Ruthless kind of fierce.
Yeah. Well, you know, Calusa natives actually killed Ponce de Leon.
Yeah, wasn't there only one survivor kind of thing? They kept him as a prisoner.
Oh,
the dance kind of story.
Yes. Okay. So, do you remember his name? It's a long name, and I don't blame you if you don't. So this is
I don't know.
This is
it wasn't even
the
that long ago.
15-year-old boy, who is the reason we know so much about the Calusa.
What letter does it start with?
H. Then a D, then an E, then an F. Not like those are his initials.
Oh, I'm like, what?
HDEF.
Hernandez.
You were so close.
No, what? I have no idea. How did that sound for you, by the way?
Oh, incredible. It's Hernando de Escalante Fontandia.
De Fontandia.
Hernando de Escalante Fontandia.
Oh.
Hello, my name is Hernando de Escalante Fontandia. You imprisoned me for 15 years. Prepare to die. The six-fingered conquistador. So Hernando was on a Spanish galleon that was doing an expedition to La Florida to attempt to find what was it? Montezuma? Not Montezuma. What's the golden city that all the Spanish conquistadors were looking for? There was an animated movie about it where two guys, Miguel and Tulio, went to go and find it, and they had a little mandolin. Yeah.
Wait. One of them was blonde?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I remember.
It was the road to El Dorado. El Dorado,
yeah.
So everyone was looking for El Dorado, not for the Fountain of Youth. We should do it. Oh, we got to do an episode on Fountain of Youth. Oh,
that'll be awesome.
So the conquistadors were looking for gold, and their ship wrecked less than a mile out of Estero, which is where Hertz Arena is. Mm-hmm. And so the boat capsized. All 50 men were thrown overboard. They make their way back to shore, not back to shore, to shore, and then the Calusa are there waiting for them.
Yeah.
And basically, they go down the line of the conquistadors, and the Calusa wants something from them, but they have absolutely no idea what they want, because there's a massive language barrier there. This is a almost wholly untouched people group here, the native Calusa. So there's no chance that they're going to be able to understand. So they go down. 49 of 50 sailors were killed until they get to the last person, which was 15-year-old Hernando de Escalante Fontandia. Through a Hail Mary, starts dancing. I'm just imagining him doing a TikTok dance for his life. I want to see that animated. Just.
Whoa.
And then they're like, oh, yes!
Could you imagine, if there was, a thing where people go back in time and their, time travel ship crashes and they're with the Calusa? We need to make that happen. Could you imagine though? And then,
Did I ever tell you Wesley and I's idea for a time travel TV show?
No, you did not.
So it's Ringo Starr and the Magical Mystery Tour. He has so there was a short time where Ringo was not involved with the Beatles for like a month or so. And our headcanon is that in that time, Ringo traveled on a yellow submarine throughout time with his octopus companion. And
the one about the octopus.
The one about the octopus. And they went on a magical mystery tour throughout time. And it is just Ringo Starr learning about history.
Honestly, that would be like a really great
This would be an incredible
modern,
Adult Swim show.
Yes.
It's like Doctor Who and like Rick and Morty and like Back to the Future, but also Magic School Bus.
I was thinking Magic School Bus.
No, it's the Magic Tree House.
Oh.
Was that what it was called? The Magic Tree House?
I believe so. Yeah,
the Magic Tree House where that's like Nights by Nightfall and I've the Camelot in the Morning or whatever, all those books. But I'm imagining like Ringo with his and like maybe it could be captained by Sergeant Pepper or something like that. But it's like in the same like animation style as Yellow Submarine.
Yeah.
I can
picture him in like the coat and everything.
Yeah, and like every once in a while he'll go back and visit the other Beatles. But the thing is, Ringo's still alive. Ringo's still doing stuff. It could actually be voiced by Ringo Starr, and I think that would be incredible.
Ringo Starr, if you're listening.
He's not. He's not. I know he's not.
We'll tag him, and then your dream will come true.
I bet I could actually get in contact with Ringo Starr, and I know exactly how I'd do it. But the Otter Mound.
The Otter Mound. Back to business, I suppose.
Back to business.
I forgot what question I even asked you.
Oh, you asked me about what the cultural significance of something. But
basically, there's things. We were talking about the shell wall.
Yeah, so the shell wall was built by Ernest Otter. And the thing is, no one really knew why he built the shell wall. So there were a ton of theories back in the day. There was like, he's trying to keep out the ghosts of the Calusa, or he's trying to keep neighbors out and all that. And he was just a hermit. He didn't like people. In interviews, Ernest Otter said that it was because it was just something to do. He had all of the shells, and what would happen is whenever like storms came through and like trees would get knocked over, it would unearth even more shells because there was thousands of years of the Calusa on this property. I never went through who owned the fourth owner. Collier County is owned by the Conservation Collier Project. Where they are trying to preserve old landmarks.
I was going to say, I really like how Marco preserves a bunch of things and protects a bunch of things. Even the wildlife, too. You've got, all the gopher tortoises.
They legally have to protect the gopher tortoises and the burrowing owls because those are both protected species. The thing is, there's actually controversy on which I think I wrote that in the
would you like to look through the notes?
Yeah, there is definitely some sort of controversy.
I feel like one thing that I would slightly find controversial is where I used to grow up, my old house. I remember there was always at least across from my house there was an empty kind of patch of woods, and then next to it was also a patch of woods. And I go back now and they're in the middle of constructing mansions, and I'm where are they putting the gopher tortoises that were there?
Yeah, that's an issue.
Where do they go?
Well, this whole area back here used to be a pine forest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The pine type trees that they're coniferous trees. They're not technically pine trees. I think it's called Florida pine or something like that. But if you drive right off the island, you'll see a ton of them in Rookery area, on the left. There used to be a massive forest here on the island.
I could only imagine how pretty that was.
Yeah. So I read an article that was written back in like 2004 when they first, or like, actually, it was either 10 years ago or 20 years ago. I don't remember. But there was this article that was talking about about the controversies around how they were restoring the Otter Mound, because since it's a preserve, it's putting more significance on. It's supposed to be putting more significance on the historic nature of the area instead of a reserve, which would be all about the plant species.
Yeah.
So the Otter Mound is actually a very rare type of, not biome, but habitat, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It is called a tropical hardwood hammock. Should I say hammock? Weird. Hammock. So that's a fairly rare biome type, and they restored it back into a sort of a tropical hardwood hammock. But there's also, when they first started like restoring the area, they used these like motorized equipment that people were very worried was going to damage like the archaeological significance of the area.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of cultural significance of that area. Because I mean, it's over 1,000 years worth of history right there. So yeah, it can get a little tricky when trying to weigh the difference of, well, what's more important, the historical significance or the environmental significance of the area.
That's fair. I mean, because one is the past and one is the present, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it all tangles itself up into each other. It's probably just a combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much more to mention, and we've already been here for almost 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Because...
Do you want to tell them what the only structure...
Yes. I believe I previously mentioned this, but after everything, I believe everybody forgot.
Yeah.
The only thing left from the fires and everything is just going to be the outhouse.
Right.
And it's oddly propped open.
Yes. So, well, the door wasn't always propped open like that. Before Hurricane Irma, so I used to be a guide on the ghost tour, and we'll have Gina on to talk about the Otter Mound again. But so I won't tell anything about the actual ghost stories at the Otter Mound, but every time I would go to the Otter Mound prior to Hurricane Irma, which was in 2017, the door would be open on one, and then the next one it would be closed. The next time it would be open, the next time it would be closed. Without fail, every single time it would alternate, no matter how much time was in between.
Okay, it's kind of to be a contrarian here, because I bet a lot of people are going to say this.
Yes.
Couldn't you just chalk it down to, like, the breeze, the wind?
Probably, but still, I thought it was very interesting that every time it would alternate about if it was open or closed, without fail. Not once was it like, well, this time it was open, and then it was open again, and then it was closed. Not once did it do that. It was always alternate until Hurricane Irma, and it's been like almost permanently propped open since then.
You think the ghost got washed away?
No. And that's all I'm going to comment on the ghosts because I want to leave that up to Gina to be able to discuss.
That's fair.
Because she is the expert on these things. So let me think. What's another significant thing about the Otter Mound? Did you know it's a butterfly sanctuary?
No, I've not seen any butterflies when I've been there.
So I was just there. There were so many butterflies. I must have seen at least 50 butterflies. It felt like...
Kind of like all the same kind or different kinds?
I definitely saw mostly monarch butterflies, but there were definitely other kinds. Like, there were yellow ones and, like, black and white ones.
Mariposa.
What?
Mariposa.
Mariposa?
That's butterfly in Spanish. Mariposa.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I don't know. All I can say
You can
is
thank Barbie for that. I used to watch Barbie movies when I was younger, and there's like one about butterflies, and it's like mariposa.
Oh,
yeah,
cool. Anyway,
I can tell a kind of funny story
about the Otter Mound.
About the Otter Mound parking lot.
Oh, okay.
One time when I was there at night, I did not see that there was a bike rack next to one of the next to one of the parking spots. And mind you, there's only 2 actual parking spots and
3
and one handicap spot.
Mm-hmm.
I can't park in a handicap. There's 2 actual spots and a handicap spot.
Well, you could.
I'm not going to. Anyway, and so to make a short story long, I get in the car, drive up to the Otter Mound, and I park, and there's like perfectly fine, absolutely no sounds, nothing, right? Do my thing, we're all hanging out for a little bit, walk through it a couple times, and we all get back in the car, and I start backing out, and all of a sudden I hear this giant like boom.
It's like metal scraping sound.
Kind of a metal scraping sound. You see, on my Bronco, the bumper was plastic, so it was just kind of like a squeak kind of sound, like a really weird, deep. A But yeah. So now I have a new bumper due to the Otter Mound. It's funny. Metal now, so that way if I ever go back, I can withstand that a little bit.
That way, when you go back, you'll just hear
metal on metal.
Yeah.
I think it'll survive this time.
Well, maybe just don't do it again.
I won't do it again. No, I'm not parking in that spot.
You definitely do have to go during the day, though.
I really want to. Yeah, I remember like for a while I went at night to kind of
explore the scariness.
Exactly.
I am going to tell everyone, if you do choose to venture out there at night, technically it's closed at night, so probably shouldn't be going at night. But also,
respect the space.
Respect the space, because no matter what you believe in, this is the ancient grounds of a people that no longer live. So this is like a very, it is a land to be respected. So don't go out there to party. Don't go off the trail. Don't, there are no facilities there except for the ancient outhouse. It's not an ancient outhouse. It's like 80 years old.
Not as ancient as the rest of them.
Right, yeah, no. There's 80 years old or 1,500 years old. Who's counting? Yeah, so don't... If you need to go to the bathroom before you get to the Otter Mound. Don't
leave your trash. I don't think there's trash cans.
There was a trash can, but the trash can's gone. Spooky. Take your time to read some of those signs, because there's so much history that I thought we were going to run out of things to say.
I did too, to be honest.
We could do another episode on the Otter Mound.
That would be fun.
Which we are going to do another. Test 1 2. Okay, for a second I couldn't hear myself. We are going to do another episode on the Otter Mound. Yes. We'll have Gina on to do like 12 episodes.
That'll be amazing. Maybe we could have some of the conservation people, talk about how their plans and everything, how they did it.
100%. That'd be really cool.
Right.
But there's just so much
the Otter Mound saga.
Otter Mound. Yeah. So go visit. Take only pictures. Leave only footprints. Don't start fires.
Yeah, right?
Jordan, do you have any closing thoughts?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment.
Where can they find us?
They can find us on Instagram.
At
Good Morning Marco Pod.
I was so surprised that you didn't say the Pickle Jar Podcast. This is going to be so much getting used to. No, because I always give that exact same prompt to Keaton. I can't wait till the collab where all 3 of us do a podcast.
That would be cool.
And we'll post it
on
both.
The Pickle Morning.
The Pickle Marco.
The Pickle Marco.
Yeah, so you can find us at...
What's the big deal?
What if if I just ended the podcast right then and there? The little ukulele comes in.
I'm waiting for one of these days when you get tired of my ever so slightly, like, tiny, stupid remarks, and then just, like, the little hook thing comes out the side and pulls me away.
Yeah. Well,
Next episode, I'm gone.
I need the remarks so that I don't just make this podcast solely myself. I think I need to have a podcast where it's just me talking at the camera for an hour.
You're really good at it, to be honest. Very good at it.
No, the thing is, I'm not good at it because I don't let other people speak.
No, I meant you're really good at looking at a camera and saying a million things all at one time and continuing to
I do learn from the best. I have learned from the best. I have acted for the past you
have a lot of
experience.
experience.
Plus, I've been working in TV broadcast for almost 4 years now. So, and I tell you what, my boss is incredible at being on camera. You could tell him one thing that he needs to say, and then tell him it's like, all right, you've got a half hour. This is all you need to say. Go ahead. He could fill it perfectly, and it feels like you are getting all the information you need and then some. Like, he's really
I need
good
to take
at that.
classes from him.
Yeah, no,
I'm really good at sitting here and just being a very attentive listener.
We'll have Dr. Andre teach us how to talk on camera, because he doesn't say he doesn't say That's my thing that I need to get rid of. Yeah. So follow us on @thepicklejarpod on Instagram. We'll start a Facebook page probably by the time this episode releases. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. At time of recording, we have 9 subscribers on YouTube. And then be prepared for launch day. Pickle jar launch day. Wait, I need to look at your...
I need to get $1 from you every time you call it the pickle jar, because
I need to look
at
your calendar here. I'm going to decide launch day right now.
Oh, this is very on the whim.
All right. I want to launch the podcast July 29th.
Is that a Friday?
That is a Monday. That is a Monday.
Monday, 6 a.m.
July 29th is going to be the official launch day of the podcast. So if you're an audio listener, that means you're listening to it right now. But if you were watching this on YouTube, of course, set your calendars. At 6 a.m., we're dropping all the podcasts on audio platforms. It will be the first probably 4 episodes. Yeah. 4 or 5 episodes will all be dropping at the same time.
Don't forget to like them, download them.
Yeah, so on...
5-star them.
Go on Spotify. Go on Apple Podcasts, go on Deezer, go on Google Podcasts, literally go anywhere that you can find a podcast. It will be there. Trust me, it'll be there. It'll be on Amazon Music, it'll be on Audible. It'll be there. It'll be there. That's what I'm telling you right now. It'll be there. Many people are telling me that this podcast, it will not be on all platforms, but... Listen, truly, it will be on all platforms, even the platforms that we don't like. There are platforms we don't like, folks, and they're going to be there. And the Pickle Jar podcast. No, because it was Biden. He was getting confused about what anyway.
I get it. There's the Pickle Jar podcast mentioned on here still hurts my feelings.
Well, Keaton and I have not released an episode in over a year, so
seriously,
it's fine. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We've recorded an episode, but I'm still waiting on him to send me his portion from the episode that we recorded on June 1st. So that's one thing about actually recording this here. Jordan, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, JGKraley03, Poetic Paths _ It's my travel account. And of course, Good Morning Marco Pod.
Good Marco Morning Pod.
Good Marco Morning Pod.
And you can find me at my house. Don't come there. You can find me at Ryan.Sullivan2002. That is on Instagram. You can also find the Pickle Jar Podcast at the Pickle Jar Pod. New episodes are released every time we feel like recording. But this podcast, you can find new episodes every Monday.
Every Monday morning.
Be sure to join us next week. What are we going to talk about next week? Are we going to have a guest on next week?
I would really love that. I mean, we also had a lot of ideas during this one, so I feel like we should try to find someone. And I
think it'll also be easier for a guest because it requires less research. Anyway, this has been the Good Morning Marco podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful morning. Hope you're enjoying your coffee.
Yeah, don't forget your coffee.
Yeah, turn off your car and go and get into work now, all right?
Have a good day.
Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great morning.
Bye.